You're listening to the Endless Party Radio Show with the Doc on Colossal Radio.
With this Thursday edition of the Endless Party Radio Show, Bobby from the Told Jokers Are Wild on board here with us as well. And we have a massive amount of people that are on board with the show right now, though some of you that are just seeing what goes on behind the scenes with the Colossal Radio Facebook page. And, it gives me a really great pleasure. I mean, this guy's run the gamut. But Bobby, we have it's a 24-hour feature. Yeah. On Christmas Day, and it is a staple of Christmas Day, and it's on in my house as well as I'm sure millions of other homes throughout.
It's either this or Christmas Vacation. That's about it.
Exactly. On board here with us, Scott Schwartz Flick from the Christmas Story. Scott, are you there?
Yes, good morning.
How are you, man?
Life is okay. Some days are good, some days are bad, but the sun is shining, and I'm on this side of the earth instead of the other, so we're okay.
Yeah, exactly, man. And calling Scott all the way out on the West Coast, all the way out in California, and it is first of all, let me say it's great to have you on board with the show, man. And where did it all? Let's start right here. Where did it all start? You got cast for this. Were you doing commercials before? I mean, you talk about being a child star, as so many started out in that role. Where did it all start for Scott Schwartz?
It started out in a little film club that I was going to with my dad. I was about 5.5, and I spent a couple of years with him going every Saturday. And one of the other members came up to me. I was the only kid there. I was the only person under the age of 25. And he was shooting a Yoo-Hoo chocolate drink commercial in Miami Beach with Yogi Berra.
Oh.
And asked me if I'd like to do it. He's like, "You're very outgoing. I think you'd be great at this." And okay. So I did that, and then that led to getting an agent and all those other things. And the next thing you know, I was doing commercials and Off-Broadway and Broadway. And, I started in March of 1977, and, I get the toy in December of 1981, and started shooting in, we started shooting in March, April, May, June. Yeah, that's in March of 1982. I started shooting the toy.
How did it all start up with being cast when the whole Christmas Story movie came out? Because I mean, certainly the toy with Richard Pryor. And since we posted the pic, which we did, and through my PR guy, Dave the Bookie, big thank going out to Dave Miller, doing a great job. And since we posted the pic of you and that iconic picture of you and your tongue on the flagpole, where did that start with you with the Christmas Story? Then how did casting for that role? Were there many to play that part, or were you just at the right place at the right time?
It could be a combination of both.
Mm-hmm.
I shot the toy in the beginning of 1982, and it came out December 10th, and I went in for Christmas Story 4 or 5 days later, like the middle of the following week.
Wow.
And Bob Clark, the director of Christmas Story, had already seen the toy, knew I could do anything, and just wanted to meet me. And, it's by far the most fun audition I ever had, because it was, you go in, how you doing? We talked for about maybe 10 minutes, and Bob says to me, I didn't have lunch today. Are you hungry? You want a hot dog? We were in Manhattan.
Oh.
Sure. You're telling a 13-year-old kid you want to go have a hot dog. Sure, absolutely.
Right.
We went downstairs, had a dog and a Pepsi, continued to chit chat, came back upstairs. We talked for a few more minutes. He goes, "I got to tell you, it was a pleasure to meet you." I said, "Oh, okay." I said, "Did you want me to read something?" He goes, "No, we're all good." I said, "Okay, thanks." And walked out. And we were on 50th and Broadway, and my agent's office was at 57th and Broadway. So we figured out, my dad and I walked up to my agent just to say, "How you doing?" Whatever. Walked in. She said, "What did you do?" I said, "Well, we talked and we had a hot dog." She said, "Well, whatever you did, you did it okay. He just called. You got the movie."
Wow. How about that? That quick.
Yeah.
Combination of timing, I guess. It's It's such an iconic film, and bringing back old school Christmas, Bob. Right?
Oh yeah.
Old school. Do you ever run into anybody there? Throughout throughout that film. I mean, are you guys close out there, maybe in L.A., or do you guys cross paths?
You mean the other guys from the film?
Yeah.
The other kids?
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Oh, no. I see Zach Ward, who played Scott Schwartz, the bully. I see him, fairly regularly.
The bully.
We're best of friends. The kid that played Landy, the little brother, I see him once in a while. I saw Peter not that long ago, Ralphie. I saw him in September.
Right.
And I'll see him again after the holidays. No, I mean, we're a pretty good, knit group. We were kids. We all had fun. We appreciated each other. What we did, and me being the oldest, I was about a year or something older than everybody else. I was kind of the catalyst of most of the jokes on the set and most of the shenanigans that went on.
That's fun.
But and that's remained to this day. I'm still older, and I'm still pulling the shenanigans with everybody.
Well, that's all right. I got Bobby sitting here with I mean, that's Bobby's on board here, and he's like, "Yeah, me too." He's the Joker. I mean, and even opened up a business called Jokers Are Wild. So that plays right into that statement. On board here with us, Scott Schwartz from the Christmas Story, the movie. Making this movie. And now, where it is after all these years from 1982-ish and, 83 when it came out. Like, would you have thought then, now, yes, you were just a kid, but would you have thought then what it has become as a cult classic?
No, I had, excuse me, I'd say the benefit of being a movie buff. So I knew a lot about the history of cinema. I knew what a big movie was. I knew what a small movie was. When you do a film with Richard Pryor and Jackie Gleason, that's a big movie.
Yeah.
When you do a film with, Darren McGavin, Melinda Dillon, Peter Billingsley, it's not the same thing. There's a different level of everything, be it budget, lodging, the catering, everything is different. This was a small movie that was basically a labor of love that Bob Clark just dove himself into because he wanted to do it for a decade. He told us, he said, listen, this is a movie that I wanted to make. Nobody else wanted to make this movie but me. It was like, okay, and when you're, when you're 14 years old, going on 15, it's a job. Yeah. And you go in, you're prepared, you do the best job you can, you walk away, and you hope somebody likes it. You don't know what's going to happen. I mean, if you would have told me in 1983, after we shot the film, that 30 years later people are still going to care, it's like winning the lottery. Forget it. It doesn't exist.
Right.
This film came out, and it sat there, and I mean, even throughout the 80s, the whole decade of the 80s, it was the forgotten thing. It was a cult thing. People were passing their VHS copies around. Oh, you got to see this. It's wonderful. But it never took that next step. It never went up that next level. When Ted Turner bought it as part of the Turner package from MGM,
right.
They did the marathon, and all of a sudden, the rest of the country sort of went, oh, wow.
Yeah.
This is a nice movie.
Yeah.
And the ratings were good the first year, and then they did it again, and the ratings went up, and then the third year the ratings went up, and all of a sudden it was leg lamps and lunch boxes and action figures and Red Ryder this, and and you go from it wasn't like Star Wars. Star Wars came out, and within 4 weeks you had action figures of Luke Skywalker and Han Solo. No, the first action figures of Christmas Story are 2003. It's 20 years later. This is basically sticking your hand in a pickle jar and pulling out the pickle that's made out of solid gold.
Yeah, right. That's right. And Bob's here as well. Shaking his head. Where you couldn't be more in agreement. I'll tell you what. That was brilliant. That was brilliant on Ted Turner's part when they did that and bought that so many years ago and saying, obviously, I'm sure him or his people at the time were a fan, or it's like, wow, what memories with something back in the day when the movie was done and Bob Clark did the whole movie that took this thing and threw it into a marathon, as you said. That in itself was a brilliant idea.
Okay. Believe it or not, this is the story that I got.
Okay.
And it came from a very high person, almost the highest person in Turner, because I happen to be related to him by marriage.
Oh.
He's not there anymore.
Okay.
But what happened was they had bought the package from MGM. They needed 2 more movies to finish the package. Ted Turner's secretary was a fan. His secretary of like 28 years or whatever. It was decades. And she said, have you seen A Christmas Story? And again, what I hear was that Ted Turner said no. At the time, he was with Jane Fonda.
Right, okay.
And the woman brought her VHS copy into the office and said, here, watch this. And Ted Turner and Jane Fonda watched the film, and they said, oh, this is wonderful. And the next thing you know, they bought the film, and he said, okay, we bought the film, now what? And she said, well, we've invested very little. They bought the movie for like $250,000. It was nothing.
Wow.
And she said, why don't we just try a marathon? At least it'll get us back even, whatever. And he went, sure, okay.
Wow.
What are you going to show? What are you going to show on Christmas Eve? Christmas Day? Christmas Story. Okay. and it did well, and it did good. And they went, okay, we'll try it again. And by the 3rd or 4th year, they had sponsors calling.
Oh,
hey,
my God.
we want to do stuff with this. And it became Toyota and Kodak and Fuji and whoever the hell else jumped on board. And all of a sudden, it was the studios then jumped on board. So it was brought to you by whatever movie's coming up, The Matrix or whatever it was. It became something nobody could have predicted.
How about it? I mean, what a great story.
Yeah.
Those of you, and again, Scott, to let you know too, we have people voyeur in because they have nothing else better to do with their goddamn lives. So they're on like Facebook Live right now. You're only hearing the one side of this story, and I meant for it to be this way so you guys can get to the Colossal Radio YouTube channel when we upload this video with Scott Schwartz on board here with us, Flick from The Christmas Story. And so you're seeing some things that are going on behind the scenes. You'll hear this interview in its entirety when we upload it here early evening later on. But a great story for those of you that are on Facebook Live and just hearing Bobby and I talk and voyeuring in here. Great story that he just told on the Christmas Story Marathon, just FYI.
When I got the film, when I actually got the film and they sent me the script, believe it or not, they didn't even write the character I was playing on the script. Now, I had done The Toy. I was the lead. I had done another film called Kidco for 20th Century Fox. I was the lead. So when they sent me the script for Christmas Story, I studied Ralphie. So I memorized the entire script of Ralphie. Okay.
Surprise.
We get to Toronto for the table read right before we start shooting. And Bob did a speech and a thing, and okay, fine. He walks over and he goes, okay, Peter, you're going to be Ralphie. Zach, you're going to be Scott Farkas. R.D., you're playing Schwartz. Ian, you're playing Randy. Scotty, you're playing Flick. And I went, in my head, I went, Flick. All right, wait a minute. I gotta go back and read this again. So I'm flipping through the script. Now I know I'm working 5 weeks. That's what I'm supposed to work on the film.
Right.
And again, it was low budget, so I figured, okay, whatever it is, okay, I'll just make do and we'll make it work. Okay. But I'm flipping through the script and I'm looking for Flick, okay, and I'm adding up the lines because I knew it wasn't what I would consider a monster role in the film.
Mm-hmm.
And it's 16 lines. There's 16 written lines in the script for Flick. And I grabbed a Post-it note and I wrote 16 lines, 5 weeks, vacation. And I handed it behind me to my father. He's sitting behind me. And I looked at him and he looked at me. We kind of shrugged our shoulders like, okay. And we get done with the table read and I walked over to Bob Clark and I said, Bob, I was the lead in this, He says, oh, no. You're Flick. There's no question. And I said, he said, listen, don't worry about it. It's not the size of the role, but what you make out of it, and you're going to be great. Sure, Bob. Okay. If you're not even, about acting at all, when you're in 5 scenes or 6 scenes and you're working 5 weeks, you're going to work 1 day a week? Oh, my God, what am I going to do with my time? Thank God they had video games. Oh, my Jesus. It was, And so, I would go over to the set, and hang out for a couple of hours when they shot at the Higbees or they shot someplace else. Unfortunately, the weather was the roughest part of this film. People say, oh, you had fun doing Christmas Story. I'm like, no, it was 20 below zero. Are you crazy?
And it was shot where? In Toronto?
My parts were shot in St. Catharines, Ontario,
St.
which
Catharines.
is between Toronto and Buffalo.
Wow.
And then in Cleveland. So we shot St. Catharines first. And, this is high-budgeted film. We were staying at a Howard Johnson motor lodge. Okay? And thank God they had a game room in there. That's all I can say. Thank God. So, we do the tongue and the flagpole scene. It was my first day of shooting. No problem. Okay, fine, whatever. And it's about a week later, and we had finished up in St. Catharines. Everybody had moved to Cleveland at this point. And Bob calls me up and he says, hey, I'd like to talk to you for a few minutes. I said, sure. So I go down, and they were shooting in the Higbees. And he pulls me aside and he goes, listen, I got good news and bad news. I'm like, okay. He goes, the good news is you're going to be with us a little bit longer. You're going to be with us another 5 days. And I went, okay. He said, the bad news is they underdeveloped the film. We have to go back to St. Catharines and reshoot the whole thing again. So my first day of shooting is the tongue on the flagpole. Got underdeveloped, came out dark. Had to do it all over again. My last day of shooting is the tongue on the flagpole.
and how?
And we froze. We had battery-operated socks. We had battery-operated long johns. They had these things. They were hand warmers, and it was just like a little packet. You shook it up, and it got warm for 40, 45 minutes. Well, the gloves that we were wearing were, 40-style gloves, which was just a piece of leather. There's no insulation.
Yeah.
And they had taped it to our arms so the gloves wouldn't come off.
Oh, Jesus.
Well, you can't take a break every 40 minutes and take the gloves off and do the thing. So my toes became blue. My hands were blue. They were almost frostbitten. So there was not a lot of fun involved in that. The interplay with the other guys was the fun, hanging out with Peter and pulling pranks on people on the set and screwing around with Bob Clark and having fun with him.
Right.
Peter and I throwing water balloons out the windows at the hotels. We had to do something. We were kids.
Yeah. What a great storyteller. Those of you that are online, obviously hearing it. Those of you, and there's a handful because more people are online. They want to hear the interview, but it will be uploaded to the Colossal Radio YouTube channel. We have Scott Schwartz on board, Flick from A Christmas Story, great stories. The whole this whole iconic movie and. 24 hours it'll be on the Turner Broadcast System, TBS, and it's on in my house every single year, Bob. Right?
That's right.
And you get bits and pieces out of it every year. Even things going, oh, I forgot about that part. I got to tell you, I have the major award in my studio, the full-size major award, and a radio station that I was working at years ago. I just happened to pick up the phone. My team got us the number. We got right into the house in Ohio, in Cleveland, into the Christmas Story house. Made a phone call. And we're good at putting people on the spot cold. Told them that we are calling from this radio station here in the Northeast. And they were kind enough and ended up talking to other people and having an absolutely incredible fun time on the show with a cold call. And at the time, we had our very own collector's edition Dr. Bobblehead. So I trade him a Dr. Bobblehead for the Major Leg Lamp Award, which is in my studio, and it's been in my studio everywhere I've done a show, and it's in there 24/7, 365 days a year. And I'm looking at it right now and thinking of Flick and your freaking tongue on a flagpole. Which, was that really true? It wasn't. Like, you really didn't do that, though. You weren't really triple dog to do that. Like, it wasn't like...
Well, if you're asking if I was really stuck to a metal pole, the answer would be no. That would be child abuse. Yeah, okay. They had made a piece of plastic that they put over the pole, and they painted it so it made it look like it was rusted and crap and whatever. They put a little hole in it about the size of your pinky nail with a little tube that went down along the pole into the snow with a little motor, like a dust devil motor, something like a little vacuum cleaner. So it basically just, went, and you stuck, it stuck to the pole. Now, again, the fun part of the whole story is people, this and that. I'm like, listen, this may be the most unsanitary thing I ever did. I didn't think of this till maybe, I swear to you, I mean, it's been 36 years, and to tell you, it was only a couple of years ago, I actually thought about it. Somebody mentioned it to me. And I said, you know what, I never thought. When I walked up to the pole, I said, how does this work? And Bob Clark goes, let me show you. And he walked over and he stuck his tongue to the pole, and they turned the motor on, and he was there, and okay, fine. He got off the pole. They turned the thing off. He comes off the pole. Okay, fine. Okay, let's go. And we shot it.
Oh.
Now here's what I never thought. They never cleaned the pole.
Yeah. And you have no idea where Bob Clark's mouth was before that.
Exactly.
That is
so sanitary, no. Sanitary, no. Fun, yes. Really stuck, not really. There were a couple of takes where it just popped off because I was trying to get my tongue to extend as furthest as it could to make it look real and all of that. There were a couple of times I popped off the pole, but there were enough times that I stayed there and it worked. And what you see is the final shoot is what it was.
Yeah, pretty crazy.
But,
Bobby, go ahead.
but MythBusters proved this can happen, right? You saw that episode?
Oh, I've seen, yeah.
Yeah, MythBusters did a whole episode on culture and pop culture, and one of them was, can your tongue actually get stuck to the flagpole? They did prove that it does happen. It can happen, yeah.
Well, you know what? And since we're talking about Flick, Scott Schwartz on board here with us, A Christmas Story, and the 24-hour showing of it coming up on Christmas Day on TBS. I dared my neighbor, who is dead now. He died too young. But I dared my neighbor. We had an in-ground pool with that green kind of like fencing that you have, right?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
So we had a pool, and we had these aluminum pipes, of course, with that 48-inch fencing, that green kind of fencing back in the day, all the way around our pool. So we were out playing in the snow back when we were kids. Had to be in the it had to be in the late '60s, early '70s, right? And I said, I dare you. I said, put your tongue on there, because I was always the leader. I ain't doing that shit. Like I'm the leader. I'm the leader of the troop. So I said, go ahead, do it. Put your tongue on there. I said, do it. And Billy, God rest his soul, man. And I am right. If he's wherever he is right now, man, he put his tongue on there, and there it was. And it was a cold winter's day, right here in the Northeast, and I'm going, oh my God. I said, he goes, I can't get it. I said, and we never thought of water. We never thought of just going to get water or warm water or anything. So it's like, and it wasn't like the whole big part of it. It was just almost like they did with you in that movie, like the tip of it. But when he went to pull back, he's going, and he's like, I can't and he did. And this is a true story.
But kids to this day still do it.
Yeah.
I get calls not every year now, but every couple of years. I get calls from the Chicago Sun-Times, the Detroit Free Press, in Wisconsin, in Western Illinois. Hey, did you hear about this kid? He stuck his tongue to the pole. I said, tell him he's a schmuck.
Exactly. All you do is watch the movie, you know.
Oh man.
And this was, it's got to be 2 years ago now. I was in the Chicago area. I was doing an appearance at a movie theater. They were having a screening and, meet and greet with me. Okay, fine. And a kid walks up with his parents and his brother. I think his brother, maybe sister, comes up and he goes, "Hey, did you hear that this kid in Western Illinois, blah, blah, blah?" I said, "Yeah, they called me. He's a schmuck." And he goes, "That was
me." That's hilarious.
And I'm looking and I'm like, "What were you thinking?" "Oh, well, I said, you're a schmuck. What, are you crazy?" Whatever. So he was coming to the screening, and of course, before the film, I do a Q&A up on stage and whatever. I had a human prop sitting in front of me. I brought him up on stage with me. I said, "Gang, this is the guy that did what I did. Let's everybody give him a round of applause and call him a schmuck."
That's funny. That is absolutely hilarious, man. That's funny. Well, like I said, I don't know, leader of the pack, and that was a long time ago. I remember that, and then when I saw it in the movie, and it was like, oh my god, and Bill and I would laugh at it all the time. And I said, "Remember?" He goes, "Yeah, I remember. I remember when you dared me to do it. I did it." And I think I ended up giving him like a goddamn Matchbox car or something. I said, here's that Matchbox car you wanted here, or whatever it was. I don't know. It was unbelievable. And like you said, people still do it, right, Bobby? People are still doing it. Scott Schwartz from Flick from the Christmas Story on board here with us, and what a pleasure. So after that though, and we want to certainly stay with the Christmas Story. I mean, in this time of where we are with this holiday season, and it's no secret, and Scott is no secret either. I mean, from a child star, which isn't hard, and then you do all this, and then it's sometimes hard to get casted. I mean, do you still have people actually coming up asking about, when you went into, adult film radar? I mean, anything when you do your Q&As? Anybody do that?
One out of 1,000.
Yeah, that's
Nobody
good.
cares. Nobody cares. It was what it was.
Exactly.
And that's already over 20-something years ago.
And who cares and whatever. I mean, and I'm one to do an interview where, like I said, I have no script, and you're this is how I do them all with you. Some people have hung up on me over the 35 years, but it's like, it is no secret, and it is what it is. So what? Don't judge.
But listen, I didn't break any laws.
Exactly.
I was a single male. I wasn't married. I wasn't attached. I needed to put food on my table and a roof over my head and gas in my car.
Yep.
If people can't understand that, well, I'm sorry.
Very well said. Listen, I'm on my show all the time. I mean, if I didn't make it into radio, well, there's only reason that I am in radio, because I don't know. I mean, hell, I'd be in adult film, but people would have to wear like magnifying glasses.
Yeah.
That's where I am. So that's where I lost my mark.
Yeah,
nobody wants to see me naked anyway. So
yeah, it's not something that's important to the story. It's more that I figured out a way to make a living without becoming a drug addict or going to jail.
Good for you.
Okay, gang?
That's right.
Good for you.
I stay pretty even. I have a good reputation. People come up. They don't want to hear the garbage. They want to hear what they love, and
That's
what
right.
they love is the toy and Kidco and A Christmas Story, and that's what they want to talk about.
Absolutely.
And that's okay.
Nope, absolutely.
I'm doing a film next week, right after Christmas. I'm shooting a film back east in New Jersey, and I'm doing another one in April.
Great.
So it's like I still get a little bit of work here and there. Besides that, I make a living doing other stuff. I represent celebrities for autograph shows and memorabilia stuff, and I buy and sell memorabilia, and I work for trading card companies, and I used what I had to make a living.
Yep.
Which is what everybody does. If you're a plumber and that's what you know, that's what you do to make a living.
That's right. Absolutely. Very well said. I mean, for real. And I wanted to touch base on it just a bit, but it's like very well said. I mean, and kudos to you, man. I mean, absolutely, totally 100% kudos to you. For real, no joke.
You said something before about, being a storyteller.
Mm-hmm.
I take 5% of the credit for that. Richard Pryor is the other 95%.
Mm-hmm.
He taught me and told me, anybody can tell a joke. It takes somebody really who understands human psychology to become a good storyteller.
Yep.
And he taught me about that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's being presented with a topic, being able to discuss it, and tell a story based on it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can keep people engaged, and they're like, okay, what's next? What's next? Where's he going with this?
Right.
You become a storyteller, and storytellers are the ones that will last. The last for longevity instead of you come and you go.
That's right.
Million guys that can tell a joke, but there are very few that stay around a long time unless they got a story behind it.
Very well said. And I can tell when, doing it 30 plus years and loving what I do, doing what I love and loving what I do is right here. And taking it upon myself to start something new with this radio station a few short months ago, to extremely a whole lot of success. And I'm very humbled by it. But, it's what you put out there and what you do. And when you have your craft. And sometimes you have to do what you have to do. But, I could tell right away within 2 minutes with you talking, Bobby, that we have, a great storyteller. And my gosh, did we tear up with fun? Those of you, and again, there are not a whole lot that are on Facebook Live right now because obviously they're all online listening. And I can tell by the numbers are through the roof. Scott Schwartz, Flick from A Christmas Story. Could tell in 2 minutes that you were one hell of a storyteller, and you could tell that you crafted that and certainly learned along the way. I don't know. I could go on and on and on. I have such big fans that are all over making comments through the Colossal Radio Facebook page with I can't believe we have Flick, Scott Schwartz, A Christmas Story on this radio station, and kudos to Colossal Radio, kudos to Dave the bookie, I like to call him, it almost sounds illegal, my PR guy, and inviting Bobby with, he's a business owner here too, with Jokers Are Wild, a great gaming cafe here in Lehighton, and I don't know. What other Hi, how are you? Merry Christmas. What other questions do we have, Bobby? Do you have any? We all watch it. It's just such an iconic cult classic film. It's just...
Yeah. Listen, Bob Clark was a master. There's no question. He casted this thing about as perfect as you could.
Yeah.
There were talk of other people who could have been in the film. Jack Nicholson could have been the old man. It would have been a different movie.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow.
Oh,
wow.
Darren McGavin was perfect. Melinda Dillon was perfect. Peter Billingsley was perfect. The bullies, Zach and Yano, they were great.
Yeah.
We were all pieces of a puzzle. And if
Yeah.
you put the puzzle together right, it's going to come out the right way.
Right.
And that's what happened. Who could have thought, we would become part of Americana and the film would be in the National Library, Library of Congress.
Wow.
That's stuff that you just scratch your head and you're like, really? This is a film that MGM did not want to make. This was a blackmail movie. That's really what this was. No, not many people really know the backstory of this.
I don't. What is that?
Bob Clark had done Porky. And he was red hot. They shot a $2 million film that made $105 million at the box office.
Mm-hmm.
They're throwing money at him to shoot Porky's 2. And he knew he had all the juice. He had all the power at that moment.
Wow.
And that's when he was going to make his movie. And they fought him. He wanted a whole whopping $5 million to shoot A Christmas Story. That's what he wanted. And they argued with him.
Oh.
They said, we're only going to give you $4 million. He gave back his directing, producing fee of $1 million to buy a part of the film so he could shoot it the way he wanted it with the budget that he wanted. So it gets made. Now, he does, and while he was shooting the film, he was editing it at the same time because he had to start Porky's 2. Well, of course, then it sits. And they weren't even going to put the movie out in the movie theater. And Bob said, no, it's going to get a theatrical release. And they fought him. And Bob and Darren McGavin jumped on board and said, no, listen, I'll help you back this. This movie has to be in the theaters. It's wonderful. And finally, MGM relented. They said, okay, we'll put it out in the movie theaters. And it does okay. They made back their money. They made a little bit of profit. And then it sat there. It sat on VHS for all those years. We never got a national TV showing on ABC, NBC, CBS. Never. It was never shown on national television. It was shown on cable.
Right.
the HBOs and Showtimes and Cinemax and shows and all that stuff. But we never had a national showing, and then it gets bought by Turner, and that's a cable showing. So I mean, the whole way, this thing was just not meant to be what it ended up becoming.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's just it is so amazing, like just so such a, just like you said, in the National Library of Congress, this movie sits, and the merchandising that went along with it, like it has, and it continues today. I can drive through my hometown right here, home of Colossal Radio, and we've got people that are on board with Scott Schwartz, Flick from A Christmas Story, people that are on board with this show right now across the country, man. So make sure you find Scott Schwartz on Facebook, give it a like, and we'll have Scott plug a couple more things where you can find some things that are coming up and where he's going to be. But I can drive through around Lehighton and I can see leg lamps in front windows, part of a Christmas display everywhere around town.
Well, I think it's relatable here. I mean, I think everybody can relate to that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Sure.
And Scott, with, again, going back to Bob Clark, who and all these people out there in LA too, and people who you're friends with and who you elbow around with, it's like this movie isn't going anywhere, because now especially with this, with this world turned inside out, and it's like, a colossal freaking mess. People want that feeling anymore, Bobby, and it's like our Main Street business district here in Lehighton that is coming back. This whole Main Street USA, mom and pop kind of feel stuff, is coming back across this nation, and people want it. You can see it. It's something that is developing nationwide, and plays right into this movie when things were a little more simple.
Yeah, I mean, the two examples that I give, of what this film does for people or how they make them feel. I met a gentleman who's, very well known, and understood that he was a Christmas Story fanatic. Okay. Got an invite to his house in Memphis, Tennessee. His name is Jerry the King Lawler. WWE Hall of Famer, been in movies, television. Well, he has the same leg lamp you do, the big 46-inch monster.
Yep.
And he has it in the front top window of his house all year long.
Yep.
December 1st, he turns it on. January 1st, he turns it off. But it doesn't move. It sits there all year long.
Yeah.
People want the feeling of wholesomeness. They want the feeling of it makes me feel good.
Yep.
Yep. And the second, guy that I knew for a while, worked with a gentleman named Tom Hanks. And I'm a big Forrest Gump guy.
Yep.
Okay. And I had a Forrest Gump movie poster, and I really wanted to get Tom to sign it. So I asked him, he said, well, let me ask him. Sometimes he does, sometimes he doesn't. It just depends. And I said, okay, whatever. And the particular couple days later, I get a phone call, and I said, he calls me. He's like, hey, I'm glad you picked up the phone. Hang on a sec. And the guy comes on. He goes, this Scotty? I said, yeah, Tom Hanks. Oh, how you doing? He said, I'm good. You spell your last name Schwartz? I said, yeah. He said, okay, thanks. And he hung up the phone. That was it. He hung up. He just asked me my last name spelling, and he hangs up the phone. A couple days later, I meet up with my friend. He hands me my poster. He says, I think you're going to like this. So I unroll the poster, and it says, Scotty Schwartz, you're a legend, Tom Hanks.
Oh.
He's a Christmas Story fanatic.
Oh, that's
Great.
hilarious. That's hilarious. That's awesome. Yeah. It's I could go on and on with this interview. My show ends at 1:00, and only a few other times have I had people that I think have felt comfortable enough to be on a radio show that I've done for quite a long period of time, and I can rifle them down in the music people, from the Charlie Daniels to the Ted Nugents to
Ted's great.
Ted is great. Yeah, Ted is great.
I finally, it took me a long time, and he was playing locally, and through a friend who knew one of the guys in his band, and took me back, and I got a chance to meet Ted, and you just couldn't meet a more solid, individual than that guy.
Yeah, he's a lot of fun. You know, he is. We've had good times. He's a lot of fun. But you know, this whole 40 minutes, and I think a very special 40 minutes with Scott, very candid and very open and very down to earth and very authentic.
Mm-hmm.
That is hard to find with people that are in the movie industry. I'm not into big.
I have to say it the way that it is.
Absolutely.
This is like 1988-ish. Could have been 89. And I'm over with Richard Pryor at his house, and we're chit-chatting, and it sort of hit me one day. I said, Richard, I got to ask you a question. He said, what's up? I said, you have no ego. You're one of the most famous people on the planet. You're the number one comedian on the planet. You have no ego. And he looked at me, and he goes, how much does that pay? And I said, well, it doesn't pay anything. It's just a mindset. He goes, no, I understand what it is. But if it doesn't help me take care of my house, my cars, my kids, the food on the table, it's a waste of time. Mm-hmm. Now, if that doesn't mean something, I don't know what does. And that always resonated within me. We are just people. Any entertainer, any singer, I don't care what it is. Everybody is just a person.
That's
Eat,
right.
sleep, breathe, bleed the same. Mm-hmm. And we are just people. It's the people who believe that there's something more, that they are something more than just a person. We all are born and we all die.
That's
it's
right.
what we do in the middle of it that means something. And if you do something that, again, I use the word resonate, that means something to people, that stands on its own and it stands the test of time. And, you know, Christmas Story, we're sitting here talking about it. It's 36 years ago.
Yeah.
You know, are there other things we still talk about after 36 years? Sure, we've got Star Wars and Star Trek, and, you know, you got those kinds of things. But, you know, it's something that it's gotten under the skin of people around the country and to some degrees around the globe in certain other countries. Mm-hmm. And they love it because they see it and it's wholesome and it's wonderful and it's a great relationship movie between a father and a son, and the son wanting to be quote unquote an equal as an adult, and the father finally gets the payoff at the end with the BB gun, which is just an object of really the father saying, kid, you're okay, you're growing up now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, so it all means something, and to be remembered, revered, however you want to put it. You know, there's approximately 30 bronze statues of actors in the world around the globe. And I don't mean it like Hall of Fame. I mean a particular place. Henry Winkler's got one in Milwaukee for Happy Days. Jackie Gleason has one in New York for the Honeymooners. Lucille Ball has one. Well, I happen to have one.
That's
They
right.
put a bronze statue of me in Hammond, Indiana, the home of Gene Shepard, the writer of Christmas Story.
Wow.
And it stands there. And I'm going to be here. I'm going to be gone. And it's still going to be there for people to appreciate. Now, of course, the bronze statue in $4 still gets me a cup of coffee and a bagel. But, you know, it's nice that people say, thank you. We appreciate what you did. We love what you did. And it's going to be there. My legacy is solidified. You know, I try and be a good person. And I'm an animal lover. I got doggies, and it's nice to know that people say, "Dude, what you did was okay."
Yeah, iconic.
Iconic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, you couldn't say it better. I mean, honestly, especially this time of the year, you know, and again, somebody who is very, and if you couldn't get the realness out of this interview with Scott Schwartz, Flick from the Christmas Story, then I don't know, then some of you people have a metal plate in your head, because if you couldn't feel it, you know, this has been absolutely amazing. What now? You know, you have a project that is coming up. You were talking to a producer before we got on the air. Earlier, you want to mention a few projects or something that is coming up that is going to be released, or what you're looking to do?
Well, I'm getting ready to shoot a film. It's called the Christmas Wrestling Movie, and it's not about professional wrestling. It's about, you know, kids and that kind of thing. And they shoot a movie and something happens to the footage. And, oh my God. And all of a sudden it's, where did it go? And it got, the stuff got stolen and we got to get it back and whatever. And, I play a pretty cool role in the film and, I don't want to spoil it.
Yeah.
But, that'll be out sometime on DVD, I'm sure next year. It'll be on whatever channel, somewhere on cable, whatever.
Awesome.
The other one I haven't even started yet, so I don't even have the title of it. I just got a guy that said, hey, I'm doing this and I want to do, okay, fine,
Right.
I always, you can always find me at Chiller Theater, which is in Parsippany, New Jersey. It's the last weekend of April, last weekend of October, but I'll be there in April. And it's a meet and greet show. They have 70, 80 celebrities there from a vast array of topics, whether it's science fiction, horror, pop culture. It's called Chiller Theater, but it's really a combination of everything that show business has. And, I mean, they've had, tons of people there. You can go to chillertheater.com and look it up. I don't think they have anybody announced yet for April, but it'll be a wonderful show. If anybody's on the East Coast and you want to just go for a day and go meet celebrities, that's where you go. Great show.
Scott, you said you're coming back east next week, a couple weeks?
I'm shooting a Christmas wrestling movie, but between Christmas and just till after New Year's.
Okay, so you're on the West Coast. Just want you to know it's 12 degrees here today.
I grew up in central New Jersey. I know what cold is. And believe it or not, it's nothing like Canada or Chicago, so I can bear with it for a few days. If there's one good thing, I get to enjoy my Drake cake, devil dogs, Yankee Doodles, yodels, ring dings. I'm all over it, man.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Tasty cakes.
Yeah, tasty cake. Yeah, tasty cakes.
No, I get tasty cakes on the West Coast. I don't get Drake cakes on the West Coast. There's one pizzeria that's near me, and what's it called? East Coast Pizza Company, and they have Drake cake.
That's hilarious. I don't know, man. How do you, Bobby? I'm glad Bob from Jokers Are Wild. We're going to do that Parcheesi game tomorrow. We're going to give away more free stuff on the show. What? You want to end it? How? Anyway,
man, it's
anything?
just a pleasure talking to you.
How about
an
it?
Iconic figure. And,
How cool is this going to be for all of us and those of you that hung out? And there are many. Holy shit, there are people everywhere. How many people now? With what Dave the Bookie, and you'll find Dave's background information on the colossalradio.rocks website as well. Dear friend for a long time, knows a lot of people, knows a lot of agent people, just like Scott's and many others that we're bringing in 2020. But how cool is this going to be now for you and I, or people that are listening, or people that are locally even right here, when we all watch the Christmas Story and they go, Bob and Doc had him on.
Talk to him. Yeah.
We had him on Colossal Radio right here in Lehighton, PA. I would love when you come to the East Coast. If I have to arrange transportation, man, wherever it is, I can do that. I can get you from Jersey here and put you up at some of the best B&Bs here in and around in our resort town of Jim Thorpe, Pennsylvania. Mm-hmm. Keep that in mind, because for real, you can reach out to me. You can reach out to my PR guy, whatever, and if there's anything we can arrange to bring you in here, I'll best to make it happen.
Where are you guys in PA?
About 20 miles north of Allentown, east of Bethlehem.
Oh, beautiful! You guys are right off 22 and 78. No problem.
Yeah.
Turnpike. Yep.
Yeah, we're right off 22 and 78. Yeah.
One of my best friends lives in Easton, so that's not a hard drive.
Well, listen. If there is anything going on and you can make it happen, I know how schedules change. I know how they can change on a dime. If there is anything going on and you can make it and you want to do something, I will, and this team here will make time for you.
As a matter of fact, we talked about.
Well, I'll have a book coming out next year, September of next year. My book should be coming out, so I'll definitely be coming. You guys can call me, and I come on the show, come over to the studio, whatever it is.
Let's do it.
Listen, I gotta finish it this way.
Do it.
We live in a very, very difficult world right now. Whatever you do, enjoy every day that we're here. Tomorrow is not a given.
Right.
I have experienced more loss than most, but I understand and balance it out with what life is about. Life is about enjoying it. Life is about experiences. Live life every day to its fullest. laugh, joke. Life can be horrible, but that's today. Tomorrow the sun will still be shining. Sometimes it's snowing. But enjoy every day that you're here, because tomorrow you don't know.
Yeah.
And if I'm going to go out, I'm going to go out smiling.
Yeah.
And I want people to laugh and enjoy. And with all the seriousness and nonsense that's going on right now in our country, it's insane and
Yep.
it's stupid.
Yep.
Because people don't understand how short life is.
Agreed.
I don't care if you're 25 or 75.
Yep.
If you're going to tell me for sure you're going to be here tomorrow, I'm going to tell you have no idea what you're talking about.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right.
You know, we have a country that's divided because of nonsense.
Yep.
You know, we've gone through 45 presidents, 44 presidents, and we've never had this. And it's the uncommon stupidity of people not to understand how the process works and how the world works. Wake up, enjoy your life.
Right.
My God,
Yeah.
what are you here for? Are you here to be miserable? If that's the case, let's go to Home Depot. I'll get you the shovel. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, right. No, listen, I talk about that every day on the show. You know, it's you know, let's agree to disagree. We are adults, and let's enjoy the ride, because nothing is promised at all. And I don't know how better to end it than with that right there. Scott Schwartz flick from A Christmas Story.
Listen, have a happy, a healthy, a safe. Don't be stupid for the holidays. You want to overeat? That's okay. Don't overdrink.
Right.
Don't be stupid. No drunk driving. No, stupidity drug use. I mean,
Right.
life can give us everything. It's what we choose to indulge in.
Right.
That defines all of us. Again, Richard Pryor, I can't speak enough about the man. My hero, my icon, my muse, was my very close friend. Taught me a lot and always told me, just enjoy all of this, man. Tomorrow it could be over. Be safe and have a great holiday season.
Lehighton, Palmerton, Gem Thorpe, and nationwide. It's Colossal Radio. Find us online at colossalradio.rocks.